Both of these creators are correct. And that is what is making this so complicated. I was scrolling through Instagram the other day and came upon this reel, and I made a note of it because I said, somebody needs to call this man out. And somebody also needs to point out that what this lady is saying ain't exactly correct. At least not all the things. And I think there is a nuance that we are missing here that really needs to be addressed. So I wanted to watch this video and react to it live. And you can tell me in the comments what you are thinking about all of this stuff, because this is the AI equity debate nuance, right? Like, we have to be able to approach what AI brings to us and balance that with what it's taking from us, and design these systems to serve us. Right now, that is not what is happening. These systems are being designed to serve profit by these huge AI companies. However, I firmly believe that there is power in the hands of the general population to advocate for these systems to do better, to advocate for regulation that will really ensure that we structure systems in ways that serve us. Now, whether or not that actually happens is in question, because I know people love to talk about the AI arms race. But we're not getting into that today. I really just want to highlight the nuance that is associated with AI equity that not enough people are acknowledging and are actually responding to. And the thing about this, y'all, is that actually some of my favorite creators liked and reshared this reel. And I was just like, oh, huh. I guess I'm thinking slightly differently about this. Now, maybe I have the privilege of doing that because though my industry is obviously affected, me being an online business owner, it actually affects us positively. It serves us in really great ways. Artists and like creatives not working online, less so. Or even creatives working online, less so. So I think maybe I'm speaking from a place of privilege, but I also want to highlight a few things that I think were missed in this conversation. So I'm going to play the video and react to it in real time with y'all. So we can talk about exactly what is happening here, what is going on here. All right, let's go.
Not to use AI. I need people who went to private schools, had tutors, had parents who were able to edit their college essays and have all the access to stop telling people not to use this technology. For many of us, it is the first time in our lives that we're able to use a free resource to explain things to us in a simple way, without judgment, and most importantly, without the price tag. This is the first time that there's been an opportunity to level the playing field even a little bit using technology, so let people use the tools.
For many of us, it was the first time we were able to have something explained to us in a non-judgmental way. Have you
Yes, this is not wrong, okay? She's not wrong, but he's gonna let's give him a second to hash this out.
never heard of Khan Academy? Have you never heard of Crash Course? Or, better yet, a book! Books are fucking free, bro.
Okay. So here's where I have to call out what he is saying here. The power of AI to explain things to you in a way that you can specifically understand is mind blowing. And the places that he's talking about, Khan Academy, the other place that he mentioned, the library with books, he's about to go into this whole rant about the library, so we'll watch that in a second. But like, y'all, first of all, most of those places are either pre-recorded stuff or people, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong on this. But like, people are judgmental. You could just have one off day, a little bit less patience, and you don't get what you need as a learner. AI doesn't do that. Furthermore, AI can take what you love and what you don't understand and explain what you don't understand in terms of the things that you thoroughly enjoy. I don't think my guy sees or realizes the power of AI to actually, the power of just messaging ChatGPT and saying, hey, I love Naruto. I don't understand this physics concept. Explain this physics concept as if it were in the world of Naruto. Help me understand. And ChatGPT can do that for you. Like, what physics teacher is going to do that? First of all, I'm sure if there are physics teachers out there who love Naruto and love physics, they could do that, right? But you might not readily have somebody like that at your fingertips, do you? And even if you do, you might never even have thought of asking for it. Versus ChatGPT can actually prompt you. If you've had other conversations with it about the things that you enjoy, it will actually prompt you to say, hey, do you want me to explain this thing in terms of XYZ ABC? If you're having trouble with it, it can look back in its memories and understand the things that you understand and explain it to you in ways that you would naturally understand. That is not something that is readily available and readily accessible in the way that relating to humans or learning from books or any kind of like storage, like platform of knowledge is. It's a completely new way of a new wave of accessibility in terms of what you can learn and understand. I literally sat down at my yard in my house, no access to a college professor, master statistics and reasoning, like language professor, none of those things, and understood concepts that I would have been learning in some kind of a master's program, quite possibly. Right? And sure, I could have done the research and understood that myself, but was it as easy? And was it as simple and was it as accessible as learning from a large language model, which is generative AI? No, it was not. And I need the people who are being critical of these systems to understand the power of these systems. Yes? Because I have literally used Claude to create a whole role-playing game to motivate me to learn French. Right? Now, again, that is something that I could have paid a human for, right? But is it as accessible? Is it as simple? And is it as really like easy and tailored to me, personalized to what I want to be motivated around, personalized to my learning style? No. And I really need us to, because here's what happens, right? Somebody who knows the power of these tools and could listen to your argument about AI equity will hear you say that and think, oh, they don't get it. They don't understand these tools, and write off the entire rest of your argument. I need the people who are arguing against generative AI to hold their horses and actually understand the power of this tool. Because my guy's about to go on a rant about libraries. So let's watch this. Let's watch him do this for a second here.
Listen, walk into a library, walk up to the person at the counter, ask for a library card, give them your name and email, they will give you a library card for free, and then turn around. Behind you are books! Thousands of books! And guess what? You can read whichever one you want! You can even take it home with you! Did someone pay you to make this video?
Okay, so a few things. Thing number one, do you have a library near you? He's assuming everybody has a library near him or near wherever they live, right? He's assuming that that library is well stocked and accessible. He's assuming that that library is a safe place to be physically. He's also assuming that you have ways of learning how to find the books you need. He's also assuming that the library is well stocked with all the resources that you could possibly need. And we know that library programs are not well funded. And we know that libraries are not necessarily the most accessible places because they're not well funded. So they're not available in every single area. That's not to say that you can't go out of your way to find a library. That's not to say that you can't learn how to use the library categorization, right? And find the books that you need. That's not to say that you can't go online and tap into the entire library that is online, right? There's so much information available. However, that is not the argument that Good Sis was making. Her point was This level of accessibility without judgment from a human being is unprecedented. You can walk into your library one day, say you are a precocious 12-year-old, you walk into your library one day and the librarian might just be having a little bit of an off day today. And you want to find a particular book and you can't find it anywhere. And you're asking them for help and they won't help you. Now, maybe normally they're quite nice and quite helpful, but today was not that day. Compare that to ChatGPT. You can literally just go in and ask a question and ask it the way you understand it and have a conversation back and forth. And this is not a human being. This is a tool designed to help you and to help you understand and communicate with it in a way that is extremely natural to you. Now, when I say a tool designed to help you, that help has some asterisks attached because it's not always helpful, right? And it can actually turn quite dangerous and sycophantic. However, at its basis level, when we are talking about learning, the accessibility, the ease and simplicity, and the sort of depth of learning that is possible with generative AI, with large language models, bro, we are in a new age and nothing can match this. The level of personalization is unmatched. Okay, if I don't, I want y'all to see this. If I don't understand how to use even a particular software, I can pull it up on my desktop, just take a screenshot of what I'm looking at. I don't even have to fully explain where everything is. I just take a screenshot and drop it into Claude or ChatGPT and say, hey, where do I go on this screen to do this thing? Boom, sorted. The level of depth of learning and accessibility and personalization that is possible with large language models, with generative AI is unmatched today. So my guy is making a lot of assumptions about accessibility around libraries and books and learning that he needs to check at the door and reassess, because the evils of this tool are present 100%. And I am not saying that there are not evils associated with generative AI and large language models, but I am saying that you do need to understand the nuance that is present here and the gap that AI can close, because let us also be real. Generative AI, in terms of coding and the amount of wealth that it's creating right now, is equivalent to like the level of wealth that's created in recessions. Like, so many non-technical founders are founding SaaS companies right now and making money. That's not to say they're not also making messes. Hear me. But I'm pointing out to you that the capacity of this tool to close gaps, not just in learning, but in other areas like wealth, and make levels of wealth that have never been before accessible to underserved communities, making those levels of wealth accessible and making those levels of learning accessible is literally unmatched and unseen up until now. And I need us to recognize that nuance, because when we see that nuance and we educate ourselves, then we can make arguments that actually move the people in power and actually support groundswell in terms of community organization and pushback against these companies. If we do not understand how these tools, the power that these tools bring to our daily lives, we can't design a better system. We can't afford to write off the entire thing. And I get it. I get that this thing is costing people's quality of life and livelihood right now, because so many experts are losing their jobs. I mean, I've made tons of videos around, like, well, not tons, let's not say tons, but I've made several videos talking about how this process and this AI wave entering different industries is not just affecting white collar workers, office workers, it's also affecting experts, right? And people are being fired, or their job descriptions are completely changing to kind of leech not kind of, to fully leash the fulfillment out of their roles because of, in some cases, not even the actual full-on AI rollout, the promise of AI coming into this particular industry and workplace. And so I understand people are losing their jobs, people are losing their livelihoods, and their quality of life is also being threatened because not only is this touching on fulfillment at work, but when you go home, what does your tap water look like as a result of the water usage from the data center that was built near you? What does your electricity bill look like? How does your particular dwelling relate to the entire grid, and how much power do you have to pay for or lose out on because of the data center? What ambient noise are you surrounded by because of the data center that was built near you? Right? These are the questions that we need to be asking, absolutely 100%. And more. There are tons more questions that we need to be asking. But we also need to recognize the power of this tool. Okay, let's finish watching this video from my guy. Because he goes on to be like really gross, y'all. He goes on to be really gross in terms of I don't like this. So let me just play it for you. I don't like it at all.
Because sometimes I feel like people are just saying shit and it's like a prank on me personally. This has to be paid for by some AI company, right? She said, stop telling marginalized communities to not use AI. Wait, I'm sorry. Are you under the impression that
So why do you have to center yourself in this discussion? My girl is trying to share, and I mean, maybe I'm just assuming the best. And that is within my nature, right? I'm not, though I can be cynical about a lot of things. When I hear people talking, I'm not usually cynical about, depending on who it is, a regular person on the internet. And so I'm not going to be cynical and just assume that this was paid for by some AI company. And I'm not going to center myself. I'm going to hear what she's actually saying. Because y'all, when I think about the fact that young girls are outperforming young boys in elementary school here in Jamaica, and I think about the fact that if they were taught how to effectively use AI, to use ChatGPT to understand what they were working on, they could go home and not just have it give them the answers to questions, but have it teach them how to answer the question in ways that they, in their little brains, could understand, in ways that the teacher did not have the time or capacity to explain to them because they have a class of 38 to 42 students and they cannot personalize learning for every single student in that class and still meet the criteria that they're supposed to meet. It's just not possible, right? When I think about how AI can close the learning gap for those kids, you can't look at me and tell me that under supported communities, under resourced communities cannot use this tool to close that gap. I have personally used it myself. I am watching it close gaps in wealth and education, and I can see where it could do such powerful things for our young people coming up, especially because the job market that they are entering is going to be radically different from anything that we know. And I'm just saying, y'all, I'm just saying, if we take the time to let this be a nuanced discussion and not responding and reacting out of our feels, right? Like my guy is like, this must be paid for by some AI company, and y'all just do this to make me crazy, basically. Make you crazy, bro. Ain't nobody business about you. We're trying to learn and understand the world and get somewhere. This is not about you, sir. I'm sorry. This is not about you. And you need to get out of your feels. And I know, again, and the reason why I brought up the fact that, like, I know that this is taking folks' livelihood, taking folks' jobs, and affecting people's quality of life. The reason why I brought that up is because I can understand you being furious and you being infuriated and enraged and annoyed and checked out on generative AI. I get that. But if we're gonna change the system to actually serve us, we cannot afford that. So feel your feelings, process those feelings, but come back to the conversation and look for the nuance, look for the things that are working. And let's use those to inform how we push and advocate for ourselves in civic engagement to design AI to serve society. If that looks like completely halting all large language model development, which would be a very tall order, I don't know if we could even achieve that. But hey, nothing tried, nothing done, right? Like, if that's what that looks like, and creating small language models, right, specified to certain scenarios. So you could create like a physics learning language model that specifically taught people learning physics from elementary come all the way up to like high school level, and taught physics concepts for kids, right? And like, and that way, like, physics could be personalized to each person's interests and learning styles, and they can ask extra questions, and then they can come back to class and have these discussions with their teachers and their peers, and they're not lagging behind because they have a tool that can help them. Why would you say no to that? But if you chop off the conversation and you don't recognize the nuance, you're not able to come to the table in a way that actually supports discussion towards an end goal that actually serves you and the community that you're arguing for. Instead of just like saying this must have been paid for by an AI company, yeah, 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 blah, 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 blah. Let's watch the rest of the video.
AI makes you smarter? She said the rich and wealthy are
Oh, by the way, he just said, I have to address this. He just said, do you think AI makes you smarter? Yes. Yes, it does. If you know how to use it with your brain on. That's the problem. Like, I don't think any AI paper has come out and said AI makes you dumber, period. That's not what they're saying. They're saying, if you use it like this, if you use it like that, like, there's always a dependency. I'm laughing because, wait, I'm laughing because is it that people are so fed up and infuriated with tech oligarchy that they cannot accept nuance in conversation? Is that what is going on here? I was laughing a moment ago because I was like, it's like people don't understand the concept of nuance. And I can't believe that in 2026, that's something that people can't understand. And so I was laughing a little bit in disbelief, but maybe if I'm supposed to take a step back and examine this response, is this the fact that people are so fed up and infuriated and done with tech oligarchy that they cannot process nuance in conversation? Because why does this have to be about you? And of course, yes, AI can make you smarter. Using ChatGPT can absolutely make you smarter. Using Claude, using Gemini, using any of these large language models can help you and make you smarter. But only if you know how to use them well. If you use them to generate an essay, obviously not. If you use it to understand the course material to write your own essay, damn straight. If you use it to edit your essay and teach you what you did wrong and what you can improve, damn straight. If you use it to help you to like improve your reasoning ability and your critical thinking ability, damn straight. Yes, it'll help you be smarter. I don't understand like how he says that AI cannot help you be smarter. This is a wild claim to me. Like, that's the conclusion I have to draw. If you think it's something different, please tell me. But the conclusion I have to draw is that people are so fed up with these big tech companies and tech oligarchy and how it's influencing politics and how it is just shafting under-resourced communities and widening so many gaps that they're so fed up and done with it that nuance can't even enter the conversation. That's the conclusion I'm drawing for now. Tell me what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's finish the video.
already using AI to like optimize their businesses and shit. Who do you think that hurts?
Yeah, yes, wealthy folks are already using AI to optimize their businesses and stuff. Yes, that is true. Myself included. But I also want to point out to you, yes, but I also want to point out to you that like a lot of these wealthy people that you're talking about, um, they also don't have their kids use these tools carte blanche. And these kids are not using these tools in the same way that everybody else's kids are not using these tools. Even if you think about social media, and that's one thing that I need to call out that she said actually. Like she said that um we've never had access to technology that would enable us to understand things in this way before. And that's not quite true. I think social media did a whole lot for opening up learning and understanding certain things because you're just exposed to more. Now, algorithms kind of cut that possibility significantly because you only get shown the things that you like. But when you think about if you decide to learn, for example, I'm getting back into French, right? And I started liking French creators, just liking French videos here, there, everywhere. I started following them. That's what my algorithm is starting to feed me. And so now I get exposed to what French actually sounds like. And it doesn't sound like what they like what AI like reading French sounds like, okay? Spoken French, everyday spoken French, and especially depending on which country you live in, don't sound like what you learn in school and doesn't exactly sound like what ChatGPT or Claude or any other large language model will teach you either. And so it's helpful to have human input. And these tools can never replace human input and human interaction, right? When a kid, the scenarios that I'm talking about, when a kid goes to ChatGPT and understands a concept, like we have to close the loop and have the kid learn, okay, now we're going to come back to school and talk about that concept with our peers and with our teachers and ensure that we cement that learning and correct whatever biases or like skewed thinking or not quite right part of the concept that ChatGPT might have introduced to you or that any large language model might have introduced to you. Like we have to close the loop with a human. Humans are absolutely necessary in this system, and the companies that are laying off humans on the promise of AI and or the reality of AI, I think a lot of them are making a huge mistake. But we're not, that's not what this video is about. All right. So closing the loop with a human is important. However, it really does depend on how you learn to use the tool because wealthy kids, they are not using these tools in the same way that kids in under-resourced, poor, like large education gap communities are. It's just not the same. If you look at the screen time, and I mean I haven't looked into studies about this, but anecdotally, when I listen to my peers, seven-figure business owners talk about how they monitor their kids' screen time, and I look at how my like kids that I know and their screen time different. Very, very different. We're talking like only on weekends and limited to 2-3 hours versus 8 hours every single day or more. And so the way they use social media, the way they use large language models and AI is completely different. So yes, they are using it to grow their businesses and they are exposing their kids to it to a certain degree. Not everybody is. But I also want to point out to you that like it's not like this is happening in the same way that you think, right? And so again, there really is a nuance here around how we use these tools, and I think he's missing that completely in this conversation. He's completely missing that.
What do you think that's replacing? Sometimes for my own mental health, I just have to tell myself these people aren't being serious. This is a bit designed specifically to make me angry.
See, and that's where I'm like annoyed with this dude because I'm like, really? You didn't even hear what she said. You're turning this on yourself and saying that these people are making these videos to make you angry. Ain't nobody was thinking about you. No one was thinking about you, bro. But he also what he said at that last part, he is talking about who do we think that benefits, right? And who loses in that? And he's talking, the implication being that under-resourced, marginalized communities are the ones that lose. And in a lot of ways, yes, he's not wrong, because the places where these data centers are going up, the places that are losing white collar jobs faster than ever, the places where even yeah, the places that are going to be disproportionately affected are always going to be the marginalized communities. That's not new. However, there's more opportunity than ever before for members of these marginalized communities and individuals of these marginalized communities to step up and close that gap for themselves. Like, this tool hands so much power to individuals that it cannot be understated. And that's why we're seeing so many folks step up and earn as a result of AI. So many people, so many non-technical founders becoming founders and building wealth for themselves, building companies. Like, those kinds of things are happening because we have this tool now. Before, I had so many ideas about like apps that I would have wanted to create, and I had these ideas from way back when. I didn't know how to code. I didn't know how to do any of this. So I couldn't do anything with it until Claude Code became a thing. Until like Claude could generate code for me. Like, I didn't have that capability before. I have it now. And having this tool literally at the in your hand on your phone. Bro, you don't even have to learn how to read to use ChatGPT, because you can turn on the voice feature. Right? Like, having this tool in your hand is so powerful that it cannot be understated. It hands us so much power to close so many gaps in society. And even when, something I spend a lot of time thinking about, I think about a lot the fact that if people were to actually use AI to educate themselves on civic engagement and politics, we would have so much more power to fight back against these companies and to push regulation that allows these tools to really serve us, instead of ransacking the job market and just like benefiting the heads of these companies. Like, if we actually took the time to educate and advocate and use these tools to like tap into and understand what's going on in politics, because the level of research and activation that you can now create at the touch of your fingertips with like just turning on the deep research feature in ChatGPT, just turning on the research feature in Claude, right? You are able to understand all of the senators like voting proclivities in terms of AI, for or against AI regulation, right? Data center regulation, like industry regulation and job market regulation. You are able to get that information in minutes, bruh. And then, if you really wanted to, you could draft multiple emails right there in Claude in minutes to your senators about a bunch of different topics. And you could circulate those emails to your friends and have all of your friends just hit send. What if we did something like that? What if we used AI to create groundswell civic engagement and pushing in your local community, your local district, your local county, your state, and it trickles all the way up to the federal level? What if we actually did that? What if we use the tool to make sure the tool helped us instead of ending the conversation completely? Because I've personally learned more about politics in the last several months than I ever have, period. Because I was never, I was never taught politics and civics in school. I really didn't know anything about how the government works here in Jamaica, much less in the USA. So like, I I struggle with my guy's perspective when he reduces Sis's argument all the way down to, this is specifically made to challenge my mental health. Because that's such an insultingly reductive statement to make, to put it mildly. There are other words that I could use to describe what he's doing there, but I just don't think that he gets it. And I don't think that he's ready to be politically engaged and actually change things. If he's not ready to even listen to somebody just explaining what this tool adds to their lives. You might not agree. You don't have to agree, bro. You don't have to agree. Just listen and understand. That's all it like. Then you will be educated to be able to respond and engage with policy that will dictate the trajectory of these tools. But hey, I'm just another girl on the internet ranting too. So I think suffice it to say we'll probably leave it at that today. But I think that nuance is necessary in these conversations. I think that that's something that people are missing. And quite frankly, I also think he's missing a lot of empathy. And like I said, the only thing that I can really conclude is that my guy is so fed up with these things that he don't have no room for nuance or empathy. Because if you listen with an ear towards compassion, my girl is saying that for the first time, she can ask what feels like stupid questions about what seem to be complex topics to her and finally understand those things. And what a gift that is. If you think about that from the perspective of somebody who maybe was always called dumb or stupid or never did well in school, and that became an internalized self-perception, right? When it affects how they see themselves, right? And for the first time, they don't have to ask somebody a question and feel stupid. They can ask ChatGPT and get a real answer that helps them to understand what's going on. I think that's beneficial. I think that's that's such a huge gift. And that person starts to realize, oh wait, I wasn't stupid. I just didn't have it explained to me in a way that I could understand. I wasn't dumb. I just didn't have it explained to me in a way that fits with the way my brain works and the things that I understand and the things that I love. Yeah, I envision that being such a gift for people. And I think about how when I am around kids and they finally understand something that I'm explaining to them, I think about how they light up and how they're like, oh, you can see the understanding like blooming in their faces. And then they can explain it back to you and they get it. And they feel so proud to have finally understood this thing, especially if it was giving them trouble, right? And I feel so grateful to be able to give them that. And I think about them having that experience with every single thing that they don't understand. And I think about even an adult having that experience when all their life, from childhood coming all the way up to their current age, they have not had that experience. They have not had enough of those, oh, kind of moments, right? They've missed out on that. What a gift that is. And again, hear me, that gift has to be held in tension with the cost of this tool because large language models and generative AI have deep evils attached to them. I cannot deny that. So the two have to be held in tension. There has to be nuance in this conversation. And I don't know. I feel like there's room here for empathy and there's room here for compassion. And my guy just missed that. And maybe I'm preaching to the choir. Maybe y'all agree with me. If you don't agree with me, please sound off. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your perspectives. Respective discussion in the comments. Respectful discussion in the comments. But yeah, y'all, I said I had to respond to this video because I think there's several things that he brings up that just miss the mark and demonstrate a lack of understanding of the power of this tool. And are really reductive and missing nuance. And I wanted to discuss them and share my thoughts publicly. Um, and also, I'm curious as to like why this take was so celebrated. Because if I look at the comments and how many people commented on this thing, let me look at it real quick. There were like a lot of comments. And so I'm like, I mean, I know people are furious, but no room for nuance and empathy here? No room for educating yourself on the power of the tool so you can use it to you can actually let it help you shape what it does in society? I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. If you agree or disagree with anything that I shared in this video, please drop a comment below. I would love to hear what you have to share, your perspective. Because here's the thing, y'all. Nuance is necessary, and I recognize that there might be nuances that I am missing and biases that I am leaning into. And so I always want to um be on the side of, oh, really? Tell me more, instead of upfront disagreeing with anyone or cutting off the conversation. Because there's just so much happening every single day with these tools, and so much of an effect that they're having on our day-to-day lives that my perspectives can change. I acknowledge that too. And people's perspectives can change. And so, as I said, if y'all have perspectives on this guy's video, please feel free to share in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. You can also DM me directly on Instagram. The link is also in the description box below. If you would like to learn more about what it's like to work with me, if you are a business owner and you want to work on your marketing, your funnels, your launches, the link to work with me is also in the description box below. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I will see you in the next one. Take care.